I taught AP English Literature for 10 years, and here's what you need to know about the essays. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I'm a teacher and author, and this is English Nerd. So you're taking AP Literature this year. That is awesome. Congratulations. It's a great class. There's a reason that I taught it for so long. I really like the curriculum. And I've seen some changes in the AP English Literature exam, but not as many as I've seen happen in some of the other AP exams. I think that it's a solid test. I actually think that it does test the right skills. And so, as you probably already know, there are two main sections to the AP English Literature exam. There's the multiple choice at the beginning, and then there are the essays at the end. This video is just going to focus on the essays with a little introduction about the things that you need to know if you are in this class about to take the exam next semester. So, in the exam, there are 3 essays that you'll write all in a row. So the first one is the prose essay, the second is the poetry essay, and the third is the open question or the open response, free response question. The prose essay and the poetry essay will provide you with passages, much like you'll see in the multiple choice section of the exam. They're about a page or half a page, somewhere kind of in that range, where you'll read the poem or you'll read the passage, the prose passage, and then you'll get an essay question related to that. So maybe it has to do with the way that a character is characterized in a prose passage, or the use of metaphor to enhance the overall meaning of a piece of poetry. There are instances when you get 2 shorter poems and have to do some comparison and contrast. When I took the AP Lit exam, back when I was in high school, I still remember I had to compare the Chimney Sweeper poem by William Blake from like his earlier collection versus his later collection, and compare and contrast those. It was a challenge to be honest, but you know, this is a challenging class. So those are the poetry and prose essays. You do not need to organize these in a standard 5-paragraph essay format. If you're used to writing an introduction, a couple body paragraphs, and a conclusion, but I'll get into what you actually do need to have here in a second. The third essay, that open question, which is what I like to call it, some people call it free response, that is a much broader question, and you can actually talk about any book you like within constraints. It has to be something that is considered a classic. It needs to be something that you're intimately familiar with, that you can talk about not just on a summary level, but on a more analytical, granular level with a lot of detail. So you can choose to talk about the theme of sacrifice and how a particular scene of sacrifice enhances the meaning of the overall story of whichever book you would like to talk about there. Again, it should be something that you know really well. This is something that you can really prepare for in advance in a way that you can't do in the same way with poetry and prose. Of course, practice those, but with the open question, my recommendation, very strong recommendation, is that you take 2 or 3 works that you know really well, or that you are reading throughout this year. That's even better because it's nice and fresh in your mind, that have different, you know, maybe they're different time periods, maybe one of them's a tragedy and one of them's kind of funny, you know, just different vibes, so that if you do get a kind of unexpected question for that open question, then you have a couple options to choose from, so you can see which one could you fit better into that answer. So those are your 3 essay questions. On the exam, you're going to write those one after the other. You'll have about 40 minutes for each essay. So do begin to time yourself about halfway through the year to make sure that you are on track to be able to write a solid essay in that amount of time. So what is a solid essay? What is, let's just talk about how they're scored. This is just an introduction. I have lots of other videos on this channel doing deep dives into different elements of the essay and some of my best advice and all of that kind of thing. So definitely take a look at the playlist with all of the AP literature information on it. But today let's just talk about the scoring. So it's on a 1 to 6 scale. This is different than it used to be. Years ago, it was on a 1 to 9 scale, but 1 to 6. So fewer points to work with, which means that each point that you're earning is definitely worth more. So 1 point is given to the thesis statement. 1 of 6 is literally dedicated to that one sentence that sums up your answer, that makes a claim that you're later going to prove in your essay. You can put the thesis statement right at the beginning, at the end of the first paragraph, or as your final sentence. I would not put it anywhere in the middle. It needs to be very obvious to find this thesis statement. How will you answer your the prompt? 4 points are dedicated to evidence and commentary. I'm just going to read this directly from the grading rubric that the AP graders look at, because why not, right? So 4 points, that is the majority of all of your points per essay. So 4 points, so makes textual references, direct quotes, or paraphrases that are relevant to the thesis, and provides well-developed commentary that consistently and explicitly explains the relationship between the evidence and the thesis. The response must address an interpretation about the work as a whole. So there are lots of pieces to this. Again, in other videos, I really do a deep dive into some of these items, but what I want you to take away from this is that evidence and commentary are direct evidence, not summarizing the story, but details, quotations. Even for your open question where you're talking about entire work, bring in details, specifics, and then explain carefully how that evidence, that quotation that you brought up, proves your interpretation of the work. So how do you know, and why does it matter? Those are the 2 questions that you really want to answer throughout your essay. And then the final point is given to sophistication. So this is giving a more nuanced argument, considering other points of view and discrediting those to strengthen your own. It's just that extra mile that you go for your essay. That's the final point. So those are the basics of your essay portion of the AP English Literature exam. Throughout the year, you should be reading a lot of works. You should be writing regularly, just so you get that muscle ready to go. It can take a while to kind of get the rust off the gears after the summertime, or perhaps you were in a class that didn't require this much of you. So definitely be practicing, and you can build up those skills so you can do well on the AP English Literature essay portion of the exam. All right, best of luck. If you have any questions, let me know down below. And again, check out the other videos on my channel that deal with AP English essays. I also have additional resources on my website, carly-stevens.com. So check that out. I'll be adding more throughout the year. So definitely go back and see what's going on over there too. All right, until next time.